When I first heard of Kimberlee Larson, that was probably my mom. My mom told me about her.
His aunt would talk about her sister who was overseas and their family.
She said, there's this girl that has the same birthday as you. And I was like, okay.
We would get little postcards of pictures with their family and the work they were doing there. And so I'd look at the fridge, and there was always this boy I knew had the same birthday as me.
Every time my mom would remind me of this one girl had the same birthday as me.
Then I remember hearing about him when my mom showed me a video of him and his sister singing in Russian. And she was pretty curious about what I was going to think about this kid who I'd heard about for years with the same birthday as me. And I thought it was cute, but didn't think much else other than that. And then I heard he was going to do the play Anne of Green Gables, and I was so excited because I knew he could sing. And so that's how I heard about him. First time I noticed Josiah, he walked through the door and suddenly the man who had been on this little YouTube video was real, and I thought, we don't have guys like this in Cle Elum.
When I first started noticing Kimberlee, it was one of the evenings I was sick, and I was kind of sitting off to the corner just trying to work on my lines, and I was just really sick, and she came over and brought me a glass of water, and I knew that it was that girl that had the same birthday, and I was like, oh boy, what's going on here? And
I thought he was really cute, and I wanted to get to know him better. And I had heard all about their strong Christian faith.
As the play progressed, I kind of noticed her more and more.
So I first started out by wanting to get to know his sister because I was never going to be a forward person. So I got to know Lydia, and we became really good friends, and it was fun, but it was always really difficult to get to know Josiah because one night he would talk to me, and I was so excited, and I'd be over the moon talking to my sister all the way home. Oh, he talked to me. Everything was so great. I learned this about him.
During the play, I didn't know what to do with Kimberlee. I knew that she was different, but I didn't quite know what to think of her or how to interact with her.
And then the next night he would go talking to this Diana girl, which we were good friends, but I would go down to the depths of despair, as Anne would say, and he wouldn't speak to me. He didn't even look at me all night. Everything is awful.
I thought in my mind, you know what? I'm going to talk and act with everyone on what I think is the same playing field. Part of that was just my nervousness with her. Not that I didn't like her, I just had no idea how to talk to her.
I remember very well the first conversation we had, and I was really excited he talked to me, but it was funny what it was about. He talked to me about the drunk driving goggles at driver's ed. He doesn't remember it at all, but I was just over the moon. He'd said a word to me.
About a month in, I was like, I don't know what it is about this person, but I had said I don't really want a girlfriend yet. I want to wait till college, but good grief, I didn't know there was something different going on. And so I asked my dad, I said, Dad, I need help. I need you to help me so that, because I don't want a girlfriend right now. I don't know what to do with this. And my dad just smiled and said, "This is normal."
As we went through the play, I got to know a lot of different aspects about him that I loved. His respect for his family, his love for his mom and his sister and how he treated them, his love for God that he was really vocal about.
I knew that she grew up in a believing home that focused heavily on Christ, and that really drew me in, hook, line, and sinker.
I hadn't met guys who were actually really vocal about their faith.
Yeah, I was like, wow, there's a girl that like loves the Bible as much as I do. This is amazing.
I loved how he was protective. Most guys that I had seen weren't that way, but even in the play with me at one point, I remember it's like my favorite story with Josiah before we were dating, is when he had heard I was going to go pick someone up. There was a guy, and he was a little nervous about this guy, and he had gone running out to see if I'd left, and I was sighing and swooning all night because he had run out to rescue the fair maiden. Something that Josiah really encouraged me to do while we were, just by seeing his life, was he read his Bible every day, and that was something that I hadn't really done on a daily basis up to that point, and he challenged me in that area, and I have read the Bible faithfully since. So the last day of Anne came along, and I still had no idea what he was thinking. I was going, he may just say goodbye today and we'll never see each other again. I was getting ready for cleanup and starting to put away the makeup things, and I see Josiah coming back and wandering aimlessly.
At the end of the play, my mom told me to get her phone number.
Can I help you with anything? Oh no, and he goes away. I'm like, okay.
So I went and can I have your phone number?
Yeah, sure. Of course, I sounded cool on the outside, but inside I was like, he asked for my number! Everything is awesome!
And then we started texting and calling and talked a lot from then on out, yeah.
After texting for quite a bit, he texted me and said, I'd like to talk on the phone. And you have to understand, I don't talk on the phone.
I actually did a lot of calling because I like calling.
So I made the decision to talk to him, and my whole family was like, this guy must be good for Kimbrlee to have agreed to a phone call.
I would walk outside and just talk on the phone with her. Began to develop this sense of, this is a friendship. You know, it's a really good friend. And I liked that answer that I gave myself.
It was really casual friendship. He'd send a picture of something they were doing, and I'd just ask how he was, and so it was really, there was no indication of him liking me, and I really tried not to give any indication that I liked him. That was my one goal. He must not know I like him, even though I had fallen head over heels.
When I was around her, I definitely had this sense of like, I can talk with you, but at the same time I had this sense of, I don't know what to do with you. Because there's no category in my brain to put you in. I haven't formed a little box for you to fit in yet. I don't know what to do with you.
When he went to Alaska in the summer, we talked once or twice while he was there, and I heard about all the things their family was doing. And
in Alaska, my grandpa really teased me a lot. He was like, "Who are you talking to?" And boy, trying to explain that one was, "Oh, I have a friend in Cle Elum." And he would be like, "Oh, who's your friend?" "Her name is Kimbrlee," and oh, he was ruthless. So, our first date, my Auntie Trisha said there was this dance in Yakima. And so and that I could go to it. I was like, cool. And then I learned that it was 17 and up, and then it hit me that it would be just Kimbrlee and me. So I realized that this was going to be a date. So I sat down to text Kimbrlee to see if she wanted to go, and I would type some words and erase, and type some words and erase, and type some more and then erase. And then about 10 minutes later, I think it felt like eternity, I was like, Mom, help me know what to say.
It had come late at night, so I had already gone to bed and left my phone out in the living room. And my mom had needed to use it to use the Bible app or something as she was doing her Bible study. And she sees this text, and my family knew all of my feelings. They were the ones I told it all to. And at 5:30 a.m., my mom and my dad came into the room and said, Kimbrlee, wake up! You have to read this text on your phone. I wake up and I kind of teetered out of bed and into the living room and barely am blinking trying to look at my phone, and I'm like trying to figure out what in the world just happened, and I was overjoyed when I got my bearings on what was happening. So I sent him a text saying, oh, that's great, even though it's only for ages 17 and up, and Lydia's 16, we can make it work, and they'd probably let her in, and everything will be okay, and we can all go to this dance. And so I sent that, and I'm like, oh, whew, we're good. I'm not going to assume any dates happening from this. And he texts back, I was thinking it would just be the two of us. Oh. He ended up calling my dad, which was a plus because I was at a loss as to how we were going to do this, since I didn't really go out with boys ever. I hadn't done that before. And so we didn't really know how this was going to work, and he goes, I'll call your dad.
When I called Alan, I was thoroughly nervous. I was scared, like my bones were rattling inside me. I was pacing. I'm pretty sure my hand was shaking. I just mentally had to tell myself, okay, don't let it come out through your mouth that you're nervous. But inside, my heart was going like 360 miles an hour.
And my dad gave him the okay when he called, and we set out for Yakima.
We had a little bit of a lesson with each other the first time because we had to get rerouted.
We got really lost, and we were in the back of stores and alleyways, and Josiah later told me, if her dad would have known where we were, I would have died then and there.
So that was interesting. We learned how to work together to find a place, so that was cool.
We had a nice evening together and drove back, and I had no idea what to think of what had all just transpired.
After the date, my family went back to Tajikistan.
It kind of left me going, now what? Because we didn't talk about anything. I think both of us were way too scared to talk about any sort of future direction for it.
I had just had this really cool date.
And so he left, and I was actually relieved, which was funny. I'd had a crush on him since pretty much day one. And then we went on a date, and I was scared to death. And I was like, I'm not ready for a relationship. I can't do this.
And at that point, I was asking God, what just happened? What just happened over the course of 8 or so months? I decided that I was gonna try and email as much as I could.
All his emails were neutral.
I guess I kind of developed this sense of, I have a girl back in America, kind of like the boys in the military, and that was kind of fun for me to think about.
Always a little brighter when I got an email.
I told my buddies about her, and then word spread like wildfire. They all wanted to know who she was. 2 months or so before coming back. Kind of decided that I was like, I want her to be my girlfriend. But I didn't tell anybody.
And he came back, and I still had no idea. I remember I was terrified the first day I was going to see him. I knew I was going to meet him at the ranch, and I was the whole drive going, what if he wants to hug me? What if he doesn't want to hug me? What if I go for a hug and he doesn't want to hug back? Like, it's going to be so awkward. What will we talk about? I haven't seen him. We haven't said anything. And I saw him, and he gave me this big hug, and everything was back to normal. And I was like, oh, what was I worried about? It was all exciting and good. And then the day came when I found out a hint of what was going on in his head. We were, us girls, me, Faith, and Naomi, were just enjoying conversation, and Naomi goes, Kimbrlee, I didn't know what to do. I was with Josiah, and he told me to look something up on my phone. And I clicked the button, and there you were! Your picture was on his phone! I was like, what? No, you're kidding. And she goes, no, your picture was on his phone. I sat there going, what do I do? And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do now. What's this mean? My picture's on his phone.
Through the influence of a friend that I met in Turkey one year, I thought I had kept it in mind that I needed to go ask her father, her father's permission to date. That was just something I had a buddy do, and I thought that's cool. So I decided I was going to do that, and so the graduation party presented itself as a great opportunity to ask Alan if I could date Kimbrlee.
So up until this point, I had heard about my parents. They talked about this, and others had talked about this peace you have, where you just know it's okay to go forward with someone, and they're the one. And I had not had a just knowing feeling about Josiah quite yet. I had still been a little nervous after our first date and just not sure what to do. And the day of my graduation, we were on worship. He came and did worship at my church with us, and we were doing worship. And I can't explain it, but I just knew the feeling came, and I knew I could say yes if he did talk to my dad and want to go forward with a relationship.
Can I date your daughter? Jeez. He said, well, in short, yes. And then we had a half an hour conversation, which was really good.
And that evening, we got home, and it was an exhausting day, and I had just been so exhausted from all the talking, all the going, all the doing, and my dad goes, well, Kimbrlee, Josiah talked to me today. So my heart was going, buh, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And my dad goes, he wants to date you. Really? And Faith was jumping around the house marching. You would have thought she was like a whole marching band all by herself. And my mom obviously was really excited too. And so the whole family rejoiced, which was just another indicator of how great this relationship would be. Because it wasn't just me and him, it was our families rejoicing. So we were in the kitchen in Marysville, and Josiah was going to ask me, and I knew this was coming because obviously I knew he had asked my dad, so it had to have come soon.
I was thinking about going down and getting donuts, but I didn't know how to ask her, do you want to go get donuts?
But I was terrified to be alone with him. I told my mom, don't leave me alone.
So I was just kind of like walking into the living room area, ready to go, looking.
He left the room, and we're like, okay. And everyone, I see my sister give me this look. That was your chance.
Walking towards the door. She obviously didn't get my cue.
But I sat there. Nope. Not really.
I kept doing that a few times, and then Auntie Tricia said, "You actually have to ask her." And then I was like, oh, that'd probably be a good idea.
So then maybe 2 minutes at the most goes by, and in comes Josiah, and we're all, oh, that was a good trip. You have the donuts? And Kimberlee, do you want to go get some donuts? I was like, sure.
So we drove in the car, and I was going to ask her then.
And we're sitting in the car, and I'm, hugging the door, kind of. Making small talk. Oh, the weather's nice. Please don't ask.
I couldn't bring myself to say anything. Nothing would come out. So we just pulled up, got the donuts, and drove back.
And he didn't ask because it was a really short drive. I don't know that he was planning to ask.
And then I walked into the other room and was like, no, you blew it.
He goes, you want to go for a walk, Kimberlee? I was like, okay, sure. And a walk was much better, and I'm walking away, and I think I might have made a few glances back at the house. Whew, here it goes.
Can I ask you a question? She was real quiet. Yeah? And I said, would you mind being my girlfriend? And she kind of like,
yes, sure.
Then I was like, yes, phew. But then I realized that the pathway that we were going to walk on, or the route that I had in mind, within the first 150 yards I'd gotten my answer, and then I realized I hadn't thought of anything beyond that, what to say.
So then we just sat there. Now what? So then we ended up getting into a talk about some of our boundaries, and it was this really long walk and long talk.
So then as we walked, we talked about what we thought about how this relationship could look like.
I said, well, you need to know this going in. I'm saving my first kiss for the day I get married, and I know it's weird, but I'm doing it. And he's like, okay. And I said, well, I knew I liked this boy. He was totally willing to put up with all the boundaries that I had, and I respected that in him. He respected me and respected the boundaries that I had, which is a hard thing for a lot of guys to do, and I know that, which is why I am so grateful for Josiah. Josiah and I are very compatible as far as the things that we just enjoy to do together. We love to dance. We took dancing lessons one of the semesters we were there. We went to a ball. Like, who does that? I mean, what guy enjoys getting dressed up and going to a ball? Only, like, Mr. Darcy in Pride and Prejudice. And so I was just over the moon getting to have this guy who wanted to go to a ball with me and was excited about it like I was.
I really enjoy going on walks with her because I think they're a lot of fun. You can really just get to know each other.
It was a really special time for us together because we got to share deeply and not necessarily have to look at each other with some of the deep things we were sharing, and it just allowed for a lot of the deeper relationship development in that time, I'd say. Just all the feelings of homesickness and working through those things together, and just learning what it looks like to be in relationship and work through even some of the problems and little bumps we would have. And it was one of those sweet times that not only we knew, but everyone knew. They always were like, Kimberlee's going on a walk again. And my housemates would go, man, they're faithful. They get up early, go on their walks, like so early. They're out in the cold. And but neither of us would have missed it. We loved it.
This is something we like to do. We like to go walking the mall and looking at things. Like, oh, you like this? I like this. What are the differences? What are the similarities? And just probing each other's minds as to what each other thinks about things.
We love football.
Go Hawks all day.
It is very important to us. We have church and football. That is what Sunday means. What's
really fun is to see both her and my reactions when we're watching a game. Because there's some pretty intense moments, and then there's some relaxed moments, and it's just fun to feel what the other person is what's going through their mind at that point in the game.
So now he's gotten me into fantasy football, so I enjoy being part of his family league on that too. We love laughing and dating each other, going on dates, going to the store. He loves going to the store, and it's a fun thing because we get to know each other better. Likes, dislikes. We counted pretty much any time we were together, it was a date. And so we did lots of fun things together.
We like to watch movies.
We had a lot of movie nights, and it was funny. In the very beginning, we had our Bibles width apart, sitting up very, very straight and rigid, and don't make a move.
Oh, she got me into Dick Van Dyke, which is so much fun. I'd never heard of the show, and so we'll watch a Dick Van Dyke now and then, and they're fun.
We both just love kids. We love church. We first held hands 3 months into our relationship, which, to some is very slow, and it is slow, but it was really special because everything was special. Every little touch, every little thing. When he kissed my hand at the ball was the first time he did that. And everything meant something. And I think that's the way it's intended to be. You can enjoy every morsel that people wouldn't even think about. The list could go on and on and on about the things I love about Josiah, because he truly far surpasses all the dreams that I had.
Just sweet and genuine character.
I had written down a list of things that I would want in a husband someday, and Josiah met them all. He was gentle, and yet he was a strong leader, and I wanted a strong leader.
The reason I joined choir was to hear Kimbrlee sing. I wanted to hear Kimbrlee hit those really high notes. Boy, did she hit those high notes.
Southern gospel music. I had never really heard much of it. He gave me a disc because he wanted to give me every disc he had. Here, watch this. Here, watch this. I listened to one, and I started watching a few online, and I ended up falling in love with Tim Duncan and his bass voice. He was very excited that I loved that. And now I'm the one who's like, can we go to the concert, please? Please, I want to see this or that. And we've been to a couple concerts of Legacy 5 and Ernie Haas, and we got to see them. And
she can really just listen.
He's confident, something I'm not, so he compliments me. And Josiah's funny. He makes me laugh like no one else can make me laugh. I am just overjoyed when I'm with him.
She really likes to be involved with you as an individual.
Throughout our relationship, just seeing how much he deeply respects me and cares for me, how much he loves family, his family, and how much he's loved and embraced my family. She cooks, and oh, it's so good. It's amazing. Like she gets these recipes from who knows where, and just like goes to town, and they are so good, so good. Every time she makes food, it's like heaven is descending down upon my mouth. When
I see in Kimberlee's relationship with the Lord is a desire to do His will, is a desire to do the right thing.
His love for God, his love for the Word of God has grown in me. So many things just...
I hadn't met someone that genuinely thought about God like she does, and what Christ really wants for her, and what Christ wants her to do for other people.
Seeing how much he wants to glorify Christ, and how set he is on respecting and honoring the Word.
I had tickets to go back home for Christmas, and she had expressed a true desire to go to Tajikistan at some point.
I had just dreamed of the idea of going there and seeing where they were from. And I had made a comment to Josiah and traveled and got to his mom.
When my mom and I think Teresa provided an opportunity for her to do that, I was thrilled.
I talked with my family. We looked at the tickets because we wanted to get on the same plane Josiah was. He did not want me going on a different plane than him across the world. I got the ticket the same day he asked me if I could go.
Her genuine desire to know what my childhood was like, kind of to see the places that I was at, the places I played, and visit with the people that I visited with, just truly touched my heart.
I had wanted to know about Josiah's culture. It was a part of him, and I wanted to understand that part of him that I knew I just couldn't from this side of the world. Even if he told me every detail, there would still be something special if I got to see it myself.
In the language of Tajik and in Tajik culture, there really is no definition or term for girlfriend. And so introducing her was a little weird because they were like, "Who is she?" And I was like, "How do you say girlfriend?" But because there is no such thing as girlfriend, it's all arranged marriages. Our milk lady, she was hilarious. She was like, "Oh, is this your bride? Is this your Kayleen?" And I just was like, yeah. And our family kind of, that's how we went with it for basically the whole 2 weeks we were there.
While I was there, I got to see a whole different side of Josiah that I didn't even really know existed, as I saw him interacting in Tajik with people and walking down the street, just how he interacted, the experiences that had shaped who he was and why he was the way he was.
One of the funnest moments was when she got all dressed up in the Tajik outfit that my mom had made for her, and then walking with her around town. That was like the glorious moment that I had.
I got to see the people in his life who had made a difference, and who he had talked about, his Auntie Sarah and her southern accent, and her sweet spirit and sweet hands for cooking, and got to hear about the Amasheks, and I got to meet these people who I'd only heard about before. And it was really precious because they welcomed me, and I got to see Tajikistan in new eyes, and I got to see Josiah with new eyes because I got to know the world he came from, and it meant more than anyone can know.
The locals of Tajikistan, my friends there, really loved Kimbrlee. And that wasn't just because they loved me. They saw her and were joyous that I had found such a jewel.
I got to see and meet those people who had impacted him, and I got to love them, and they've become very, very dear to me now.
And they all said that she's amazing. She's amazing. And also that she looks like a Tachi. And, of course, I was like, yeah!
And I got to love the people that had loved him and made a difference in his life. I went to Tajikistan and I got to know his family better.
Just her interaction with my immediate family over Christmas break was just fun to see.
I so wanted to make a good impression. I wanted to know words in Tajik. I wanted to just do it all right.
My brothers interacting with her, she found them funny, which I was like, I don't know if you're gonna like my brothers.
Getting to know Silas and Ezra was really fun. I loved getting to play games with them and joke with them and get to know them better because I thought they were just so great.
My brothers really get a kick when she talks smack fantasy football with them. Oh, my brother Ezra, it's like, woo! Josiah, you picked a good one.
I'd always wanted brothers. Always wanted brothers. And alas, I never did, but Josiah, now I get to have brothers, and the great thing is I felt like we were family when I was there. Lydia and I had connected and been in touch over email, and we were very close-knit, and as Anne of Green Gables, we were bosom friends.
Great with Lydia. They both love piano and music and stuff that I can't ever comprehend. And then just in the kitchen with Mom and baking stuff. So just her connection with my family. And she did say that my dad said sweet things to her. And
I wanted to come with as best I could to make a good impression on the family because I knew this was my chance.
My family has developed just a love for Kimbrlee and joy that they get to be her relatives, her in-laws, her family, and I have to say I'm quite thrilled.
My family loves Josiah. I used to say as we were dating, when friends would ask, what does your family think of him? I'd say, I think it would be a toss-up on who would be more sad if we broke up. Because my family is so for Josiah. They are crazy about him. They love him. All of them do. My sister, she knew, and she told me before we started dating, she goes, God has really showed me, I think this is the one. But she was very confident that this was the one. And throughout it, my family's been so supportive, which was always a very important factor for me because my family means everything. And if they weren't going to be for the guy I was with, then he wasn't the guy. And seeing not only my family, but his family and all my friends and all his friends, just all the people who were for this relationship was just one confirmation after another that this was right. When did I know he was the one? That's a really hard one for me because there were so many confirmations throughout that I don't even know that it was a single time that I felt for sure he's the one.
It kind of just developed into this point where I knew.
It was almost as if there was a peace throughout, and I didn't plan on really going to anybody else pretty much from the beginning.
Something deep down that had been kind of in the back of my head for the longest time was I knew that I wanted to date just once. Just one person.
Because everything from beginning to end of this relationship was God ordained.
I knew. Based on her character, based on her upbringing, and based on her love for me. And God brought her to me. So God brought her to me. I didn't go searching for her. God brought her to me, and just the whole way, the whole story, all the little pieces. I can't let this one go, and I made that abundantly clear when we first went to school, that this was my girlfriend, and if I made sure that all my housemates, we were all freshmen, I made sure that they all knew this was my girlfriend. I did not want anyone else doing anything. Alan and I ended up at the house, just the two of us, sitting on the couches. He said, "So it's been about a year since we talked. Have you thought about anything?" And I thought to myself, well, this isn't exactly what I had envisioned this conversation being, but now that you bring it up, I was thinking about if I could marry your daughter. I had envisioned many scenarios of how that conversation would take place. I would come to the house and Alan would be out in his shop working like a real man, and I would like waddle in like, "Hi, can I marry your daughter?" And there he is with a saw like a real man, but it wasn't that way at all. It was really chill and really easy to talk. I was like, wow, this conversation is going really, really well. Better than I ever thought it could be. I went to coffee with Matthew, my housemate, one day, and he said, "All right, we gotta figure out when you're doing this." So we sat there and we mapped out some possible dates, and I told him, okay, I'm doing it on September 30th. He was like, all right.
So Josiah had said we were going to go to a cafe we'd been to. It's a favorite cafe of mine. And he wanted to go there at 11, which was a little different because it was a set time, and we didn't always set times.
I went there with Matthew and with CJ on separate occasions to map out where we would walk, what time it would be when we would show up.
From the Rockwood Cafe, after we had our nice little time there, chit-chatting, we went to walk through Manitou Park.
So what made me choose Manitou Park was, it's a really like high-class, like kind of like European-style garden park. And ever since we Kimberlee and I have walked through there, Kimberlee just says, this is my favorite part. This is my favorite part of Spokane. And note to self, this is where you do it, buddy.
So we took the normal path we always do. It wasn't anything different. Moseyed along at our own pace, and we went to the Japanese gardens, and so then we went to the Duncan Gardens, and we're walking. Then we got to the end, the place where I dreamed of it being.
we walked in and to the little gazebo that was there, and
Josiah goes, well, hey, no one's here. Maybe we should dance. And we go in there, and he pulls out his phone. And on his phone, he has Pride and Prejudice music already pulled up. And at that point, I knew this was different because he was not listening to Pride and Prejudice for pleasure.
I played some music, and we danced.
So he started waltzing as he played the soundtrack to Pride and Prejudice. And as we were dancing, he said, you remember our first date and how we danced? And I said, yes, I do. At the end of the song, he got down on his knee and he said, I want to dance with you the rest of my life. Will you marry me? And I had already planned to say this for a while, not knowing he would be playing Pride and Prejudice. But there's a line in it that the girl accepts a proposal and says, yes, 1,000 times yes. So I said that, and it worked perfectly with his Pride and Prejudice soundtrack in the background.
And she said yes. And now I'm really happy about that. What I look forward to most about marrying Kimbrlee is just the journey that we're gonna have together, and I have no idea what that looks like.
I am looking forward to being poor together because that's how it's gonna be. But I am looking forward to going through the incredible, wonderful times together and the really hard times with the man that God has brought into my life and is perfect in every way for me.
She is going to be a great companion, and which is why I'm not too worried about that. I'm really just looking forward to wherever God puts us.
And I look forward to the joys we're going to have of having kids and raising a family, serving God, growing ourselves and helping each other grow. I can't wait to years of blessedness with Josiah because God has done great things, and I know He's going to do things far above what we can see or imagine. Life is going to be great.
And being able to serve the Lord with Kimbrlee right there with me. That's what I'm really looking forward to. Till we're old and, don't move as fast as we used to. Yeah.
Josiah Richardson, you are the man of my dreams and far surpassed my dreams. You have grown me into a more confident, more godly woman through the time we've been together, and I can't wait to spend the rest of my life looking into those blue, dreamy eyes of yours and learning from you, becoming more of the woman God wants me to be. I can't wait to walk through the ups, the downs, the joys, the pains by your side for the rest of our lives. I couldn't be happier to say I do today. And я люблю тебя, мой любимый. I love you, Josiah.
Kimbrlee, your beautiful smile when you said yes to me asking you to marry you really made my heart leap 1,000 feet into the sky. And I want you to know that I'm really looking forward to all of the many things that we get to experience together in our marriage. So I love you.